From providing educational opportunities for over 100,000 girls to promoting sustainable development in dozens of villages, the Zigen Fund has worked with partners in the United States and China to improve the living, social, and environmental conditions for communities in rural parts of China for over 3 decades. As China's economic development drastically changed life in rural areas, Pat Young and Zigen have been there to address the new challenges brought about by urbanization. What does Zigen mean and how did it get started?
The Zigen Fund in English means to nourish the roots. It started in the United States. It's a volunteer organization, and we raise the funding and to support the program in the rural China. When we first started the Zigen Fund, and the majority of the people were from Taiwan. China, by that time, is a developing country. After we come to the United States to study, and we went to the graduate school, and always feel maybe we can do something more concrete, especially in the education field. When we first started, actually, we know very little about China. And for the rural area, we have never been. So I went to China to look for the projects. And then it's by coincidence, I went to the most remote and the poor area of China in Guizhou province. I visited many different schools and households and find a lot of girls were not in school. First grade and the second grade, you see maybe 4 or 5 girls. And the upper grades, no girls at all. The major reason is because China, at that time, it has the compulsory education to 9 years, but they don't have free education. They still have to pay the tuition and so forth. But for the rural poor places, they cannot afford it. So instead, they send the boys and not the girls. So we think this is very important. And so we started the program to support the girls to go to the school, and which lasted for almost 20 years.
What impact did sponsoring educational opportunities for girls have on the rural communities you worked with?
All the girls come to the school and bring their younger brothers and sisters. And then after they graduate from the junior elementary school, we continue to support to the high school, and then some to the college. And they went back, as the female teachers, and the first paramedic. And they become the most active people in developing their own villages. I think that's definitely with a great impact. And we also expand our program in Guizhou, from Guizhou to almost 10 different provinces. But I think for the girls to be able to have the equal opportunity to get education is the basic for the gender equality.
How have the needs of rural communities in China changed over your career?
I have worked in the rural China for 37 years. But China, in the past 30 years, went through the tremendous change, the industrialization, urbanization, and many people from the rural area went to the city as higher laborers. In 1980, 80% of the population are in the rural area, and right now only 34%. This kind of rapid migration is through the governmental policy. It's not just because of natural economic development. For a very long time, Chinese government really geared to the modernization and the industrialization. In the rural area, there was less investment, and most of the investment is in the urban cities. Okay? And so with this huge amount of the people go to the city, their income increased a lot, living standard improved. But in the meantime, the rural area has paid big prices. First is environmental degradation. Second is thousands of years of the local culture disintegrate rapidly. Okay? And instead, it's become the consumer culture in the village. The Zigen start to support in the rural education field and to integrate the education for sustainable development, which is the environmental protection and also the cultural preservation and also gender equality, to integrate this sustainable development, the content to the local school curriculum and the adult education, and also in the vocational education. Teachers training program, and also set up the green eco schools to integrate the local culture, integrate the environmental consciousness, integrate those programs with the local relevancy.
How should NGOs engage with the communities they work with?
NGO from outside have a tendency, when you go to the rural area or go to a different country, you see your own standard. But each place has its historical background, has its culture, has its political. So it's a very complicated thing. You cannot just use your own background and to judge the local people. They can feel that. Yeah. So first thing, to understand the local people. Second, to be equal, to respect. Yeah. I think that's the very most important thing. If you have this kind of attitude, then gain the trust of the local people, including the local government. Yeah. I think then you have a lot of positive results. Mm-hmm. When we support the girls, the teachers went to all the different households to encourage the girls to the school. Yeah. And we want to integrate the local culture into the school curriculum, and they will come up with a lot of their dancing, their stories, and all those things, so with a lot of local participation.
What role does people-to-people exchange play in promoting mutual understanding between the U.S. and China?
I left mainland China very young, and then later I came to the United States and live here and get the education here. So when I go to China, just visit the cities, but the lack of the people-to-people's contact, just as a tourist. Yeah. But through to supporting the program, really to working with the local people. Yeah. I think that's very important in working together, and then you start to understand what they're thinking, their background, and they also work with us, with their strengths. It's working together to build up the relationship. When I think about China, before, just go to the city for the sightseeing, for tours. Now I think about China, all those people, the students, the parents, the migrant workers, it's not just the articles, it's not just the photos, it's become a living person.